Hello everyone, this is Sandan Bave, and I'm here presenting Verity, which is a submission for the chainlink convergence hackathon. So, what Verity is it's a knowledge exchange platform where if you think you have any form of knowledge that you would want to exchange, you can actually make a listing on Verity, and anyone who would want to learn this from you. So, for example, I can have a listing where I would say that I'll teach Spanish grammar, for example, for an hour. Someone could book that session, and then we use Chainlink runtime environment workflows to verify after the meeting that the knowledge exchange that was promised to the learner actually happened, and that all the goals that were promised were actually completed. And only after that do we release the payment. And we also have a system where partial payments are released if only a part of the promised goals were completed. So we'll get into how the workflows work in a second. For now, let's look at how the platform itself works. So I'll quickly connect my wallet. So I have logged in and this is my dashboard. This is a listing that I made earlier while testing the platform out. This is a meeting that actually happened for this course. So if I wanted, I could create a new listing. It's a very simple form. I define my goals, I write everything, and when I input my email here, the Google Meet is created automatically, and I get an email reminder as well. And we are using recall to fetch transcripts from these meetings. So the Verity bot, which is basically white labeled recalled bot, would also join the meeting and generate the transcript for us. So for demonstration, this is a listing that was made by my teammate Karthik. So if I click on request meeting, I'll just write a small summary. I'll have my own email, and this would send me a link of the actual meeting. So let's see if that works. So as you can see, here is the actual scheduled session in my Google Meet calendar. Also, something I'd like to show you is this session that is already finished. This is a session that actually happened, and we are storing details related to it for later audits and to see later on whether the claims that the AI made were actually good or not. So, we also have a dispute system where if you don't like what the AI assigns to you as your score as a teacher, you could actually raise a dispute to say that, the AI graded me wrongly. So, I'd like manual intervention here. So that's also a feature that we have. Okay, so let's quickly take a look at the workflow simulations. So we actually have two workflows. One is the initiation workflow and the other one is the settlement workflow. So the initiation workflow is basically just for creating the session itself. So when you make a request session contract call, which happens from the UI, the CRE would actually just listen to that event, and what it would do is it would create a recall bot so that that bot is going to join that meeting link. And then we write to IPFS this fact that the meeting is going to be held at this particular time. And these are the participants. And this is the promised outcome. And that this is the recall bot transcript ID and everything that is needed for audit purposes later on, basically. And and then we just initiate the session on chain as well. So there's an on chain record that this session is there and that funds have been logged into it from the learner in an escrow so that the settlement workflow, which I'll show you guys. So the settlement workflow happens after the meeting has actually taken place and the teacher wants to request an evaluation of their performance. So all this is going to do is basically get the transcript of the current meeting, and then we use any OpenAI compatible AI. But what we are using for this is Gemini. So we use Gemini to determine how the teacher has performed. All of this happens on CRE. It's transparent, it's auditable, and then we get the decision. We write it to IPFS again, which I showed you guys earlier in the UI, and we settle this session on chain. So what this does is basically allows both the student to claim the student's refund and the teacher to claim the payout. So these were the workflows. Let's quickly do a simulation as well. So So the initiation request has been processed and the initiation workflow completes. This was just to show that the initiation workflow works, right? This, we are not using the broadcast flag. We're not writing anything on chain. And the hashes for testing these out are provided in the GitHub README. And similarly, the settlement workflow can also be tested. So that was Verity. And this was our submission for the Chainlink Convergence Hackathon. Thank you so much for your time.